Thai people. Today we're going to be looking at Gap and talking about what they do. They sell clothes. We're going to be talking about like their general like effect on the environment, if they've been like greenwashing, general like business practices in terms of external like resource management, and also we're going to be getting into this. Yo, I'm out here in like Gap headquarters. I got this like little illustration to help convey on how this the company was originally founded by Don Fisher, and he liked jeans around the time it became like a huge thing. But the purchasing process was a huge pain, and so he thought like, yo, what if we like made like a store that catered to like jeans, and in like I don't. All right, so Gap was created by this guy, Don Fisher, who I got like actual like never before seen footage of.
Oh yeah, wait. By the way, guys, we got kicked off of their property. We had to leave. So now we're kind of taking refuge inside of a dumpster. But yeah.
All right, so then we got Don. It's this guy over here, not this guy. It's this one.
Common misconception.
Anyway, so originally he was trying to buy jeans since that was like the big popular craze at the time, but it turns out like that's not very intuitive or fun, and so he thought I can do that better. And then in 1969, with the help of his wife, that's this one, they opened a Gap store in San Francisco, and they basically only sold Levi's, or is it Levi's? Levi's? I don't know, but basically they're due to like make the jeans, and then they sold jeans to the people.
So here we are, another part of the dumpster that I hate to inform y'all, but Gap ain't all of that is cracked up to be. Now, see, they have been involved in a controversy or two here and there, or 3 or 4, or 5, 6, double that number again. But let's just get into it. So, number 1, child labor. It's a disturbing amount of that, actually. Yeah, come on, Vic, move it. Oh, I spoke for years. Oh. You see this? This is the where in child labor, where child laborers are kept. And see, as you see, this is very, very, very unsanitary. So dust all over here. And on top of that, this is no space for a child to live in. But here we are. So Gap had many cases where it's outsourced factories, and its endorsed factories would employ child labor, from letting their parents sell their children to factories to work in, to forcing children to work. It was insane. So they also had a lot of issues with these same factories, and number of different factories, mainly in India, when it came to overpay. Right, not overpay, my bad, overtime. Now see, normally we worked overtime, getting the extra money, right? See, that's normally. With Gap and the factories that they had on the outside, they were getting no pay for the overtime, or very little. That's very bad. That's very, very bad. People were barely even working a minimum wage with the overtime, off the starting age, and can be early as 5 a.m. and come at home as late as 10 p.m. Some will you have to stay early into the morning, and then be expected to come back that same morning, a few hours later, with 8 hours of sleep. Yep. It's tragic stuff. It really is tragic stuff. However, Gap has also been accused of greenwashing. They multiple times have sold their clothes with these green, leafy-looking tags that say we're doing our best to help, stop climate change and support climate activists. But in reality, it's a lot different. Come over here. All right. So, see this? This is Gap, made with at least 90% regenerative cotton. This isn't greenwashing. They tell you what it's made of. But there's been several claims where Gap has had that same leafy green tag that I mentioned earlier, which just says what they're actually putting into the clothes is all recycled. Clip wash and closet carbon part. It says that they're recycled, right? Well, that's actually wrong. It turns out most of the time, if you go to the website, follow the link, it's not recycled at all. nor is it good for the environment. How crazy is that?
Running all over the place! In the face! Got up on stage around 9 and the next day they called it iconic.
In between that, I was off
Some time and vodka and lime in a bag of the chronic.
bring that to a beat.
Shit is bubonic.
Dude, cool weird. Now, these gap controversies sound pretty bad, right? But here's the shining tunnel at the end of the light. Most of the time, what Gap has these, look, these things arise and it's brought to Gap's attention, at least to higher ups. They go and they investigate the factories and they run a whole bunch of checks on them, send as many people as they can over to make sure the workers being treated right, and that there's no child labor going on. However, if these factories continue their malpractices, Gap will just cut them off, completely cut their support from these factories. So it's actually a very good thing and a good call on Gap's part. But it doesn't change the fact that Gap has indeed employed the use of children and underpaid and very unwell treated workers. I think that'll be all today for this section. Yo, shout out to Rundegar Jones. He let us borrow his dunkster. And yeah, that'll be it.